Well, welcome back to Krown's Good Cave. just took some water down the wrong hole right there. Going to be interpreted in all sorts of terrible ways, but you know what? Welcome back to Krown's Good Cave. It's a nice little Monday over here from Chicago, Illinois. Bright and sunny outside as well, as you can see, and so we have a few things to talk about today. Actually, a little bit more interesting than usual, because we do have a news piece, what I do think is worth mentioning right now. Very rarely we'll actually talk about news. I'll let the people like Crypto Zombie, like K-Dub from Crypto Zombie, or Fud or Elliot from Fud TV talk about the news, or Ivan from Ivan on Tech, of course. Those guys typically go to for news, but this is actually breaking right now. So the New York Supreme Court has actually ruled that it has jurisdiction over Finex, Finex and Tether, right? And that's gonna mean that the court case that was kind of brought up to the New York Attorney General, as of recent times, is going to go through, and we're actually going to see this not be denied at first pass, and we're going to see this actually go to litigation. So with that said, let's actually get into the live scene right here, right now, because I want to talk about some goddamn technical analysis. We can go through this as well, but hey, before we get into that, I don't want to be rude. I don't want to be disrespectful. I do want to wish you the best, and the happiest of the happiest. Now let's teleport into that live scene, baby. And now we zoom on in. There it is. Bitcoin. No, not Bitcoin. This is a link to the article itself. If you want to go follow it, just check out this article by The Block. I have no affiliation with them. I don't know too much about them, but I do think that this is a little bit significant here. Now, keep in mind, whenever we talk about some sort of more ephemeral type thing when it comes to the market, like a lawsuit, these things typically take their time. I mean, Finex and Tether have been kind of litigated against and brought up against, by not just the New York Attorney General, but also I believe the SEC and not FINRA, but the CFTC, I believe, also have open investigations either into Finex or Tether. So the wheels of justice typically do move slowly, and I think that there's been a lot of questioning about this in the market to begin with. But I did want to bring this up just because it is breaking, and it does matter. So whenever we have an event like this that perhaps could be looming, I would say that technical analysis does take a backseat to something like this that would be quite literally destroying, perhaps, not just destroying, but really doing some actual damage to the market. Anyways, I don't want to spread too much FUD. Like I said, I don't think that anything really comes out of it like immediately. These things typically take their time, and you've been watching this for the past few years, maybe even more than that. Get talked about in the general sphere of things. Anyways, with all that said, let's get into let's actually get into the charts right now and look at Bitcoin and look at Bitcoin right now. And as far as charts go, I don't have any major issues with the chart right now. In fact, looking at this, we're still kind of doing the same thing that we've been doing for the past 2 months. Bitcoin is in a nice range, just trading in the symmetrical triangle right in over here. Put in another series of higher lows. We confirmed another higher low with the advent of yesterday's daily doodle back above 10.5, looking pretty damn good. So we got the follow through that we were looking for yesterday. So target hit, nicely done. There you go. And anyways, now Bitcoin looking to me like it actually wants to have a little bit more follow through. So the next big play, or I wouldn't say next big play, but the next play that I'd be looking to make based off this, and this is not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but what I would say is that if Bitcoin can close today's daily doodle anywhere above that yellow 21 exponential moving average, I do believe that we will get continuation up until about 11,200 to 11,400 region right and over here. You do see that Bitcoin, again, just in one massive consolidation, volumes initially going, having that nice orderly drop off going from left to right and over here. And let's actually just do this on Finex. It's a little bit easier to do it on, as I've done it so many times on over here, and it's a little bit more of a naked chart. But we do have this nice signature going on. We also see historical volatility percentile coming down in that nice orderly fashion as well below the moving average. So everything kind of and also of course structure, a series of higher lows and a series of lower highs right in over here. What does that make? It makes a symmetrical fucking triangle. We're coming off an uptrend, so technically the statistics are a little bit more in favor of this breaking to the upside overall. But make no mistake about it, this is mostly sideways if you're talking about the more immediate time frames. You do see an apex on this formation coming in right around the early October region, which would suggest that we probably break when this thing is about 69% full. Someone actually left a comment earlier today. Someone left a comment on my video earlier today, the live stream from this morning, saying, "It really pisses me off that you said 69% instead of just rounding up to 70. I don't know why, but I hate it." It's like, whoa, okay. Very interesting. Very fucking interesting. Anyways, looking at this right here, when we do get about 69% full, these things become extremely likely to break. And this just does so happen to happen with another event that we have coming to this market relatively soon. 69% would put us right around this region right and over here during the about middle of September. I'd kind of postulate right around here is where I'd guess. And what does that line up with? That actually lines up with the date that that Backed has the go, Daddy Backed, Daddy Backed, the one that's going to save this market, force it all the way back to prior highs and beyond, which I do think is a more positive thing than negative thing. I'm not trying to talk shit about Daddy Backed. Daddy Backed will back you up if you talk too much shit. But more importantly, these things kind of lining up with each other. So resolution on this triangle coming probably within the next 3 weeks, I'd say three to 3.5 weeks, and that's probably going to line up around when we get the daddy backed actually going on. So I believe that the daddy backed comes in around the 23rd of September. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe that's right, 23rd of September, and that's right around the corner when we actually do see this extremely likely to explode. So we see tentacles lining up with actual events, and typically speaking, that's what you want to see. That's like the trinity of it all, except we're only talking about two, so maybe duality, but that would imply separateness. Anyways, before I dig myself into a more verbal hole, let's go back on over into the lower time frames, kind of talk about what's going on right here. So lower time frames are actually quite simple. All that really has to be had by the bulls right now is just maintain the 200 exponential moving average, and to a lesser extent the white 200 simple moving average right in over here. That would put us around, well, our current base right around about 10,650, and the lower end of it about 10,550, essentially the area that we broke out during this morning's, or sorry, during the overnight session. I really started to like make a point to read all the comments just to see what people are thinking. And man, it is so interesting to see that like people were mad. There was actually people who were like severely mad that I took along, out of the breakout of this region right here. And someone cited, you say that you're not a breakout trader, but you traded a breakout, and so I'm fucking mad, and you're bad. It's like, wait, hey man, I'm just not gonna update you on all my fucking trades. And for the most part, am I gonna be a breakout trader? No, not necessarily, but on the obvious ones, certainly I will. And this one, as we postulated yesterday, more likely to break out to the upside than the downside. And we got that fall through, more importantly. So I do feel vindicated in that one. And in this one, I do think actually get some more follow through. Now, does he get some more follow through from this region right here, right now? That's the better question, actually. And the better question, I would say, is going to be answered by today's daily total close. If we close above that yellow 21 exponential moving average, I do think that we get that continuation sooner rather than later. And we will likely hold wherever the 200 exponential moving average is on the 4-hour total time frame, which is about 10,650-ish region. As you can see right now, Bitcoin's put in a little bit of a base above a major moving average like this, which, you can look at it both ways, to be fair. We do see all momentum oscillators on the lower time frames kind of getting a little bit extended here. We see 4-hour Stokes way up there. We see 3-hour Stokes, I think maybe, they're actually in the same posturing. So both these guys are still up, and that's actually a bit, a big newbie mistake is to look at them as just up, in this critical zone right here and just immediately short it. No, that's not necessarily the right action to be taken. I'd want to actually see them fully informally coming down like you see on the 2-hour right here and below that critical zone. Let's see about the hourly as well. Yeah, hourly's already nosediving, but the hourly does have this nice trend line kind of holding it up right in over here. So you can imagine that we're probably, this most likely lines up with Bitcoin going sideways within this region. And what I would say is, as long as we don't break this blue box territory to the downside, I am looking for this to just float its way upwards and onwards. Like I said, next target's going to be right around about 11,200 to 11,400, basically in this next blue box territory right in over here. Now, just because if Bitcoin is to close above the daily 21 exponential moving average today, doesn't mean that it's like immediately just going to shoot its way on through here, just massively, penetrate that girthy green dildo to the sky. Well, it could, but I would say that it kind of just sets a tone for the next couple days worth of action. And like I said, this is still going to be the pivot right here. Even if today's daily doodle does close above this blue box territory, you can still break it. I think it just becomes a lot less likely. And more importantly, if we do break this blue box territory, then we're probably going to be looking at a move back down to the low 10,000s, maybe even below 10,000 once again. But for right now, I do lean to the upside. I've been saying this for a while. I do believe that we do have some confirmed hidden bullish divergence running over here. Let me just check on the overbought. Sell now, sell now, says Cataly. What's up, Cataly? How you doing? But yeah, looking at this, we do have not just confirming another higher low right here, but also confirming hidden bullish divergence on the RSI. As you can see, a pretty good one actually as well. So Bitcoin getting the fall through based off that, and I do think that we're going to see if we do close above the yellow 21 exponential moving average, we're probably going to see like an avalanche of effects happen. So first things first, started off, we'll go to the 12-hour, right? 12-hour is actually looking is more or less looking fine here. I would have liked to actually close a little bit more of a body above the yellow 21, and we got about an hour, a little bit less than 2 hours until the daily total close. So this is not, it's not like super strong or anything like that, but it's also not bad. But more importantly, we do see 12-hour Stokes actually leading the way. And more importantly, the 12-hour Stokes have been extremely good during the consolidation phases of Bitcoin. This one, incredible actually. You do see all of the major crosses from the upside and the downside critical areas have been met with like multi-$1,000 moves. The last one to the downside that we had right in over here, leading up from 12,000 all the way down to about 9,400. The time before that was the cross the upside right in over here, leading up from 9,400 all the way to, well, 12,000, so another almost $3,000 move. The time before that was this cross down from about 10.8 all the way down to 9,000 even, so another almost $2,000 move. The time before that was this cross the upside right over here, getting this move about 2,000, or what is this? Yeah, about $2,000. And then the time before that was this cross down, and then this guy up, and then this guy down. So you get the idea, right? Anyways, more importantly, we are to the upside, and we're kind of fresh to the upside right now as well. We're just getting out of the bearish control zone right now. We will confirm out of the bearish control zone for the first time, well, since, I mean, it's not really that long ago that we were in it. It was about 10 days ago, but more importantly, we're kind of getting out of that zone, and we do see 12-hour RSI falling through as well, regaining the exponential, working its way out of the bearish control zone. And again, you kind of look at this, and this is still just one massive consolidation. I mean, you could look at this in some very, like, this is not the perfect way of doing it, but you can see that on the RSI, we do have one massive consolidation going on right here. But of course, the 12 hour is not going to really get it all that well. It's not designed to, especially on, over this time frame, but you can kind of see the same sort of signature within there. Anyways, bringing it over to the daily and talking about that avalanche of effects now. If we can get that if we can get that daily total close above the yellow 20 exponential moving average, which is 10,722, a spot 40 on BitMexico, then I would be looking for the daily to follow through on top of that, in line with the 12 hour, right? So the 12 hour sets the tone, and then the daily gets the structure, and then gets follow through with your momentum also. Just if that happens, again, this has not happened just yet. This is interpreting something before it actually happens. But what we're looking for, if this is going to remain bullish and actually hit those those targets a little bit overhead, what we want to see is the daily total Stokes start to turn around, flatten their slope out, as you can kind of see right now, but not necessarily, and then actually get that full on cross above. And of course, the daily Stokes have been pretty damn good at getting the overall momentum as well. A few fake outs here and there. Actually, funnily enough, like more fake outs than the 12 hour. So the 12 hour has been better, but more importantly, with the daily total, with our daily RSI right here, we see the same sort of signature that we see on the 12 hour. Of course, I mean, I'll just put it in, just why not? Something like this, right? We got something like this going on. And more importantly, we do see that the daily has taken out the exponential on the RSI. And also, like we said before, confirming a hidden bullish divergence right over here, getting its way back to the neutral zone, as we spoke about yesterday, was likely. Again, not saying this to toot my horn or or say that like I'm better than anyone else for I called it, all that bullshit. No, you probably know by now, if you've been here for a while, that I'm not like that, and I really actually rather go against that, in fact. But usually when you get that hidden bullish divergence, you will pop back into the neutral zone based off that. So just following up on that region, there you go. Anyways, taking that off and kind of just looking at the overall formation here as it is, we would say that yes, the first target based off that, if we do see all that follow through, is going to be about 11.2 to 11.4, which is going to be confluent with the volume profile as well. You notice that the volume profile is having a little bit of activity around the 11.3 region, actually. In fact, it really starts to thin out after we get above, I mean, basically anywhere above where we are right now, anywhere above like 10.8, we'll call it. And so I would actually be looking for Bitcoin to probably have a little bit more of a rippy move within this region. If you do get that next leg, again, all dependent upon the daily and follow through on top of that. But we do see multiple things line up with each other. And then, of course, maybe a little bit later down the road, we do see some more thick activity coming in right around about 11,800. Now, that is interesting to me because you're going to probably see a lot of people talking about something like this, which I did not call out yesterday. And I didn't call this one out because, well, I don't really usually see things happen like this, but some people are calling this an ascending triangle, I believe, in the Discord. And I would agree with it. It technically is an ascending triangle. But the measure move on this, I do believe, is a little bit misleading. It would be I guess it's only pointing up to 250-ish region. Okay, so I stand correct. I thought it was going to point up to like 11.8. My bad on that one. Anyways, what you see now is people talking about this as a rising wedge on the lower time frames, which I don't really see right here. I could see like a rising channel, which I guess are kind of pretty much for all intents and purposes the same thing. But with regards to Bitcoin, closing above a major pivot on the daily and also just maintaining the 200 exponential moving average on the 4 hour, I would say that it's more likely. I think that that's less likely to happen right now. Is it possible to happen? Yes. Is it likely to happen? I think it's less likely than the upside right here. But hey, again, my opinion is fucking worthless. It's bogus. You've seen it be completely wrong. You've also seen it be right sometimes as well. But most importantly, I do not trade my opinion. And if we do take out this blue box territory to the downside, I would not want to be long after that. I'd probably want to be looking for positions, or not even looking for positions, but I'd wait for price action to kind of settle itself down. Probably we come back down to the lower 10,000 region, like 10,150-ish region, right around here. But I don't really have a strong opinion on that, on that right now. For all intents and purposes, for full disclosure, I do think that this one does get follow through to the upside. Anyways, I do want to check out a few more things. Let's go check out the expected moves chart, and I'm going to really make an effort to make sure that this video is actually a reasonable length, like maybe around 20 minutes. But looking at the expected moves chart, we see some good things here as well. So Bitcoin did wick off the the top side of the first standard deviation right on over here in confluence with our next resistance level. Our target from yesterday, about 10.8 to 10.9 region, which has been had, and we do see that the first standard deviation kind of aligning with that. So the way that I read this right now, when you're looking at historical volatility. When you're looking at expected moves with regards to historical volatility, it's very important to understand that historical volatility is a mean reverting indicator. So when you get these areas where it kind of collapses on, that suggests that something new is gonna emerge from that, and typically counter to the prior trend. So in this case, we could see this happening right on over here. That's why yesterday I was saying that this is more likely to break out to the upside, and now you're seeing everything kind of align with each other. And you'll also notice that I do have the white this white moving average right here. That's just a plain old 20 simple moving average. Nothing crazy about that. Just a 20 simple moving average. But if we do see both the slopes of both the expected moves, rings, I guess if you want to call it that, and I don't really know what the perfect terminology for that would be. And then also price action maintaining above that white 200 simple, sorry, not 200, but 20 simple. It's bad slip of tongue right there. Then I'd be looking for this to continue to fall. This continue to fall this little trend to the upside here, and you're going to see these rings start to just force it and squeeze it to the upside, likely towards the second standard deviation right here at around 11.2, which guess what, lines up with that secondary target a little bit higher. So that's what I'd be looking at. Again, most important though, need to see daily total close above the yellow 20 exponential moving average. It's not a death sentence if Bitcoin does not close the daily above the 21, but it would not be as confidence inducing, and I'd probably fade some expectations there. Technically speaking though, as long as we maintain especially the 200 simple right here, right around about 10,550, I would look for it to slowly but surely kind of populate itself, likely over the next 36 to 48 hours, I'd say. Anyways, but to be deliberately clear, if Bitcoin does lose the 200 simple down here at about 10,550, even if we lose the 200 exponential moving average, those would be some warning signs. 200 simple though is kind of like the last line in the sand right here, and I also do see a few other things that make me a little more optimistic about this price action as well. So let's take everything off except for these two moving averages right here. This is going to be the red 10 simple and the yellow 21 exponential moving average on the 4-hour total time frame. There is a strategy that I did upload. Typically you only use it on the daily, to be fair, but it's in the technical analysis 101 series on my YouTube playlist, which is 100% free if you're interested in checking that out. It's one of like the later videos, but usually use this strategy on a daily, but just looking at the crosses between these two guys during periods of consolidations actually gets the moves quite well. You do see the last cross to the downside we had right on over here, boom, leading up for a $1,000 plus move to the downside, and the last cross that we had to the upside was right on over here, leading up for this like $2,000 move to the upside. Last cross downside right here, $1,000 move. This one $1,000 move. This one about actually it's not a good one, but it actually does get some airtime. Like what about $1,000 about $1,000 on this one actually. Anyways, more importantly, in the more immediate time frames, or sorry, in the more present more present times, we do see that the red 10 symbol is cross the upside of the yellow 21, and we're actually getting divergence between the two as it is right now. But still, it is a little bit too early to kind of call it either which way. I need to see that next leg, and that's really just going to, require some time right here. Anyway, so let's go check out the crypto fear and greed index as well. This one's been really, really interesting. By the way, shout out to Bollypoor for putting this in chart format, and we can actually even look at the correlation coefficient on the bottom side here with the purple histogram. You do see that for the most part, the crypto fear and greed index is pretty damn good. It's pretty fucking correlated with price action. Not always. I mean, there's certainly times where it gets things wrong, no doubt about that. But certainly more often than not, it is it's more on the money than it is not on the money. I'll put it that way, as you can kind of just visualize and match it up right here. Anyways, I do want to talk about this for a second. So we see two different cycles going on right here. We see a downward cycle, we see an upward cycle, right? And on like a macro, on a macro. And we do see a very specific signature during the bearish market cycle with regards to how this kind of reacts during the more, what do you want to call this, like fearful zones, I suppose. I suppose you could call this extreme fear down here. Again, don't let that word kind of like set you off. It's just what we're going to call it, I suppose. Just like this area is going to be greed over here. Is that like the best terminology to kind of represent that? Probably not, but you know, it's just easier to say, I suppose. Anyways, and it kind of gives you like a visual idea of what's going on. Anyways, if we actually look at the spikes down into this zone, like in the extreme fearful zone, like very extreme, as Bali put it on over here, like a 10 or lower, those have been historically speaking pretty damn good buys, even in an overall general downwards market, like during a bearish market where you're naturally going to be more fearful, right? You're naturally going to be more fearful during a bear market because you're expecting trends to continue, unless if you're one of the people who thought that 6,000 was going to hold, then you're fucked. But sorry, just had to take one right there. Anyways, looking at this right now, you do see in present times when Bitcoin has been in a general uptrend recently, we actually even got all the way down to this region as well, which is kind of unexpected in a sense, because what you'd really expect from something like this is you really expect that we'd kind of be like hovering in the neutral zone, because Bitcoin has more or less over the past like 6-7 months literally quad fucking drupled right there. And people are getting really fearful. I mean, is that like a legitimate time to be like fearful for the long term? No, not really. Of course not. But of course, markets are irrational, and just kind of like show the irrationality. People getting extremely fearful as Bitcoin still, creating higher lows at the very least. Yes, we are creating lower highs, but this is consolidation, right? So whenever you're getting consolidation like this and you're getting extremely fearful down around those lows, which we actually, by the way, have a little bit of bullish divergence right here, funnily enough. I'd be expecting this to, expecting this to get some more follow through here. It seems to me like, people are a little bit more reactive to this market than they should be right now, and we do see that the correlation coefficient is actually quite strong. I mean, it's not like a 90 read right now, but it's certainly better than. I mean, it's certainly more correlated than it is not. It's about a 75, which is pretty damn good, I'd say, pretty damn good. Anyways, we do see that within this region we typically do follow through with those moves, regardless of the fact. So with that said, and kind of lining up with the tentacles from our from our spot charts right here, I'd say that those things do line up with each other, and it would paint a more rosy picture, I suppose. Not like Rodano, but like like a good smelling rose, if you want to call it that. Whatever. Is that even a real thing? I don't know. Wake up and smell the rose. Who the fuck does that? Nobody does that. All right. So no one knows what I'm talking about. Anyways. Let's go check out CMEs for a second. We see CMEs basically in the same sort of posture. We're about to get the same sort of cross right here, but I do want to put on the 200 simple and 200 exponential here, because I recall from this morning thinking that we had not cleared one of them, and yeah, we had not. We're still using the 200 simple on CMEs as resistance. In fact, CMEs do paint a little bit more of a counter picture, as CMEs do have an obvious rising wedge here, or is it a rising channel? Rising wedge, I suppose, is the better diagnosis for this one. Both patterns essentially telling you the same thing. And of course, more than anything, I dislike being a pattern trader myself. I'm not a pattern trader. I don't consider myself one. I know patterns. I know how to trade patterns, but that's not my main route of trading. Will I call it out? Yes. But at the end of the day, not my first consideration. Anyways, I see patterns break out every goddamn which way that you've ever thought possible, except for the left side. I haven't seen that just yet. And in this one, while these are statistically more likely to break out to the downside, I would say that if we break back above 10,850 and close above there, even on a lower time frame on CMEs, I would not be looking for this to act as a rising wedge, which is again more likely to break out to the downside. I see Bali just updated. He says this doesn't have today's value. Maybe refresh to get the updated. So if I refresh the panel here, it should update. Let's go check it out, and I can go pull up the crypto fear and greed index on my other screen, and let's see if it actually does match up right now. It doesn't matter if it's that concurrent though right now, because what's most important is where we put in that last low. So yeah, we're ticking out a 30 right now, and on your indicator we are where we are at. Yeah, we're actually still pretty low. So I guess this hasn't updated just yet. Yeah, I'm aware. Anyways, looking at this, yeah, it hasn't updated, Bali, so I'm not sure when yours will update, when trading will update it. But yes, the crypto fear and greed index has officially gotten to a 30. So we can kind of visualize this as bouncing back up and actually taking out this high right here. So to me, that is a little bit more, a little bit more confidence inducing, taking into consideration the whole picture. Again, the crypto fear and greed index, certainly not a primary primary consideration for myself. It's more like a secondary or tertiary consideration. I do put some weight on it. Absolutely, it has actually been pretty good in the history, to be fair. But as far as trading goes, need to find something more tangible. So that's kind of the value in it. You get the general feeling from that, and then you go into your, and then you actually go into the spot charts, or in this case, future charts, and actually document the critical areas. Anyways, I just saw that someone said the GBTC close was not very good. Let's go check it out. I haven't seen it today just yet. And was the GBTC close good or not? We did regain the yellow 20 exponential moving average. I think that's fine. But here's the obvious trade now. So GBTC. Now, GBTC, I don't trust all that much, just because you get these really fucking weird, you get these really fucking weird just moves of price action. It just doesn't represent price, I'm not, there's a right way of explaining this, and I'm not doing it properly. Basically, it's better with an example. You get shit like this over here. You get shit like this, which is just very, very difficult to read. It's actually probably better to be used as either high-low close bars, which I think makes a lot more sense, or which I'm actually a lot more comfortable with as well. Or you could do a line chart here as well, which I think would also make sense. You can see on the line chart, we're still kind of hanging out within this region. We did close above the yellow 20 exponential moving average, and we're kind of and we actually did regain that area, so that's okay. Looking at momentum oscillators, we see daily soak still to the downside, while Bitcoin's essentially been sideways to popping back up, really, and we do see daily RSI actually did it regain the exponential? It's not confirmed. It is not confirmed right there, but we do have hidden bullish divergence nonetheless. However, as you can see, between this point on the RSI and this point right over here, and even this point going all the way back between these three lows, this one, and this one. Anyways, I do believe that we've seen the obvious move from the hidden bullish divergence already play out to about 10.8. That was our first target. Anything more on top of that is kind of like icing on the cake when you're playing one of those divergence targets. But looking at the daily RSI, just in its overall posturing, I do think that it's more healthy than not. The only way, maybe if we get rejected right here, but we did technically close above it. You can't say that's confirmed. No, I shouldn't talk about that. That is not confirmed. That is not true. Anyways, back onto the actual charts themselves, you can see on a line chart or on a bar chart, we are coming back down to the yellow 21 kind of based upon. So here's the next big thing then. From this perspective, right? From this perspective going forwards, that's actually not the strongest close you could get of all time. It's also not the worst one of all time. It does offer up a little bit of a counter trade. So looking at this, if we actually do take out the low of today's daily dodo that we actually set in on GBTC, then I actually would be looking for a test back down here towards the 13 and a 17 cent region, all the way down to the 50 exponential, which is about 12.94, somewhere in this region right here, which actually put in a horizontal right here. But that's only if we even trade below today's daily dodo low. Let's go check out what spot charts are likely going to look like right over here. And we actually see a completely different posturing. In fact, it looks wildly different. Let's go check out what's called CMEs and CMEs. CMEs actually already had their close, and they did not gain the yellow 20 exponential moving average. In fact, just the hair below. Let's actually put on dildos once again. There we go. There's our lovely dildos. It does look to me like CMEs do want to come back up and test around the red 10 simple, but this is actually not as good as it would have been if we just closed above the 21 today. This does look a little bit more left of center and offers up a little bit more fuckery, if you want to call it that, going forwards here. So lining up with spot charts, we technically are above, I believe, right now. Yeah, we're a few bucks above, about $5 above at this current moment in time at 5:31 Central Standard Time. As of recording this, based off of both GBTC and CMEs, we probably actually do close below, and that really puts a little bit of a damper on this party, because it would make things a lot easier if we actually close above today. But have to deal with the hand that you're dealt. So if we do close below, it's not a death sentence, but it really does offer up the opportunity that we pop back down to about 10.550 and tap that region at the very least, if not maybe even a little bit lower. But 10.550 just coming in from the 50 exponential moving average right on over here, and you also notice that is exactly where the 200 simple was on the 4-hour dildo time frame right on over here, which is now going to act. Now what you really want to see is this act as like a structural base. You can see that this was holding us back during this little like small accumulation phase right here on a very low time frame. Like, it's not real accumulation, but as long as we were below, it's kind of like the governor for this phase. And once we get above it, we want to see it hold to kind of keep that phase intact, if you want to call it. If you want to call it that. Anyways, for me, I do think that we get the follow through here. But again, that's my opinion. If we don't see those actionable things actually follow through, then I wouldn't be taking that trade, or in my case, holding on to this trade right now. as I am still long from the breakout out of the 200 simple right here, and also the move from the move down to 10-150 right on over here, which someone also got mad at me about this one right over here. I was just buying support, man. That's all I was doing, and I thought I was pretty damn transparent with exactly where I was gonna be buying. I mean, shit, man. I've been getting a lot of shit. I've been getting a lot of shit recently, but you know what? It's fair enough, man. I understand it's the internet, and people, people just want to talk, and fair enough. It's all good. At the end of the day, I can only go off of my own volitions, my own what's it called, intentions, right? My own intentions. So with that said, let's get back into the charts right here and get off my fucking high horse. And what else can we see within these charts? What's magical within these charts right now? Let's go check out the 10 hour. Sometimes the 10 hour can actually be a little bit insightful. We did regain the white 200 simple on the 10 hour, which actually has been a pretty damn good marker for price action. You do see whenever we kind of hold it, we're generally, whenever we break above it, we're generally kind of, trending in that direction as well. And we actually did, I believe, regain it on that last tick. And this was as of most recently, just a couple hours ago. So we closed this one at 10,690.5, and the 200 simple is about 10,687.2. Okay, so that is so that actually does count just by a hair, but it's okay. We see all major, we see a lot of these moving averages kind of converge on this region. So I do think that is going to become a pivot on the market most likely. And again, regardless of my opinion on it, the way to trade it is the same. And that's really like the general message that I would have. You could take the opposite trade of me in a lot of these situations, and I would say that's a good trade setup, and you're doing the right thing, and it'd be completely valid, and over time you're going to be successful. But knowing when to switch that side on the actionable part, that's what makes a real trader. So it's not guessing the right side, it's really just finding out those pivots on the market and then going with that, going with that trend afterwards. Now, of course, there's a million ways to trade, and this is not the only way to trade, but this is my main way of trading, because I can trade versus options as well. So options allow me to kind of put the risk reward equation a lot more in my favor, because you usually can sell things for more of a premium. That's the fucking point. Anyways, with all that said, I think that was already 20 minutes. Did I say everything that I want to see? No, let's go over and check out the Bitcoin dominance chart really quick. I do want to say a few things about this while we're here. Bitcoin dominance chart looks to me like it does want to pop back up, probably back up to about 70.5 into this region right here. I do think that, contrary to a lot of people saying that we're doing a rising wedge right here, I do not think so. Volume signature is wrong. Structure is acceptable, but it's acceptable. But volume signature is wrong. And we do have an ascending broadening wedge right here, though. To be fair, we do have an ascending broadening wedge right here. So I would say as long as we're below 71.5, it like long term, I'm not necessarily certain that we have like the big breakout, coming anytime soon. Longer term, I am wildly bullish, but first things first, we got to work our way through this region. I do think that short term, we actually work our way back up to about 70.5. That's probably going to spell a little bit more hurt for the altcoins on the lower time frames. And medium term, I don't have a strong opinion on that. I do think that ultimately we will come back down and test somewhere around like 69 to 68 region, 68% region, and that's probably going to be, you're probably going to see most alts like rally up to their weekly 10s or something like that. And then after that, then I'd be looking for alts to get absolutely fucking shreked. The only way that I get like really bearish on the Bitcoin dominance chart is if we actually break below about 68.5, and then I'd be looking for a move perhaps all the way down here towards 66.5 to 67 region. But for right now, I think it's kind of holding in here, and we're actually going to give another try to the upside first and foremost before anything else. This looks constructive right now. It looks like it's trying to consolidate within this region. So most alts going to get hurt in the short-term time frames, and the medium time frames, like maybe like a couple weeks out, depending upon how we kind of set in this next one, maybe they get that reprieve. But here's the thing: the longer that the weekly actually grinds out this area right here, it's the same thing as Bitcoin when Bitcoin was grinding out like 5,500, right? When everyone was talking about the 50 cent moon average and like how that's going to send Bitcoin back down to the depths, the shadowy depths, as they say. Well, no. Whenever you grind a major movement average like that, like like for weeks on end, like literally in that case, like a month and a half, I think it was. That's actually massively bullish, and that's like a classical thing as well. Now we're kind of set up to do that right now, but it's way too early to kind of judge this one, so I wouldn't say that that's even appropriate for me to really bring up. I actually do think that it's a lot more like that we actually get a pullback on this first before like the big move. But longer term, like I said, I am quite bullish on this. So I do think that we get up to like, 77.5, maybe even 80 sometime in like the next year or so. But that's, again, a long ways away. Anyways, to go back on over to Bitcoin, I did forget to talk about this as well. I wanted to give credit to both Gritters on Discord and also Sven's Bitcoin Trader for pointing this one out. I did not catch this one myself. I can't claim credit. But basically, we see we're looking at the 4-hour golden cross and death cross moving averages right here. We see the green 50 exponential moving average and the purple 200 exponential moving average right over here. And we see a nice, we see like a nice like threading of the needle going on right here. And that's typically what you can expect during your consolidations. Like, no shit, your moving averages are going to switch around a million times, right? Well, we do have something to be basing this off of from a historical standpoint, because keep in mind that we'd gone through all of the different, all of the different reads on all the different death crosses and golden crosses in a general upwards market, right? And this is a general upwards market right here. And we've gone through them in the past. And what was really excited about this last one, and one of the reasons why I was postulating this trade more recently, is because typically when Bitcoin is in a general uptrend, on the higher time frames, like a macro uptrend, and we get the I'm reading some of the comments right now. This is great. When we see a 4-hour total golden cross in a general macro uptrend, it actually typically does lead to about a doubling of price action on average within about 2 to 4 months. And one of the reasons why I was really excited about it over here is because, well, that's what the statistics were showing. Now, that obviously did not happen. In fact, we got death crossed rather soon afterwards. But with the advent of Bitcoin rallying back above the 200 exponential moving average and holding above the 200 exponential moving average, we can consider this a bear trap right over here as long as it maintains that. And I would say that historically speaking, we actually do have something to go off of right here. In fact, I completely missed this one myself. Again, credit to Sven's Bitcoin Trader and also Gridlock from from the Discord. Amazing guys, and also just this. Never mind. I'll get into that later. I don't want to dox him or anything like that. But looking at this area right over here, this was essentially the turnaround from 2015 to 2016, the last bear market to bull market transition. And we do see Bitcoin have just a phenomenally parabolic move right here, a phenomenally drastically, amazingly crazy fucking downwards move correction right after that. And then Bitcoin, puts in an actual base. And then we see the signature that we're going to talk about. So we see a death cross running over here. Okay, bad. Bitcoin accumulates a little bit lower, still holding the overall formation. You can see higher lows along the way. And then we get the golden cross running over here. Looks familiar, right? We get a massive move to the upside right after the golden cross. And then it cools back down, and Bitcoin essentially just goes sideways, still creating these higher lows along, over the longer period of time. And after a little bit of time, we do get death cross for a second. We get death cross for a second, very, very similar, by the way. We see we essentially see a rising channel right here, another like bear flag essentially, which we did see on the lower time frames, although it did not play out, and that's exactly what I was not talking about it yesterday. And then it breaks to the upside. We get the golden cross right after. Technically, things still do go sideways for a little bit of time, but after that, it's a doubling of price not so long after that. So that's kind of my point right now. And from this initial first one right over here to the next high, that's about only 20%. What am I thinking of? Why? Oh, whoops. I'm not measuring the right one. Maybe it's all the way over here. There you go. 100% in your bunghole. Enjoy that, my friends. Enjoy that. Anyways, so my point is that we have a very similar setup in the current price action of Bitcoin. This is not to like incite some fractal talk or anything like that, and just kind of like show the rising channel. We spoke about it in the beginning of this video right here. This is not fractal talk, but we're lining up legitimately tangible tentacles with with structure over time. And yes, that's when history can repeat itself. It's not just like fractal in the nature of price action, because that can be a lot misleading, and it's really difficult to trade. Anyways, I'm just reading some of the comments right now. Level 909 says, Krown, do you have your whole YouTube library backed up, not online? I do not. I do not, man. In fact, I delete every video right after. It's one of those things, man. If it's gone, it's gone. I just accept the loss. Hey, what's up, Decentralized? How you doing, man? Hi, Krown. I've noticed that there's so much Finnish people nowadays. Are there really? That I can beat in I'd love for you to be a moderator. Decentralized, you're like one of my favorite people in this whole fucking place. God damn, man. If you want to be a moderator, I'd be happy to knight you right now. And you know what? I'm going to do it right now, my friend. And there you are. There you are. You are now our freshly knighted Finnish moderators. Keep everyone safe in Safu. Try not to speak to them too harshly in your fucking Autobot, Bumblebee bullshit Transformers language. Sorry, man. I don't mean to be defensive. You know I'm just joking. But the voices in Finland are really fucking funny. To be serious. Shouldn't say that, man. Everyone there can speak multiple languages. I can only speak one language. I sound like a fucking moron. And fair enough, man. Just having a laugh. Anyways, Bitcoin actually looking okay here, kind of flagging out and looking like it wants a little bit. It actually looks like kind of wants continuation from here. We do have a flag formation, to be fair, so let's see what the measure move on this flag formation would be before we do go. Let's see, something like this. And where does that kind of point us towards? About 11,050-ish region, kind of lining up with this wick right on over here, about 11,050-ish region, short term. Again, I don't really trust formations on a low time frame like this. I think it's kind of worth pointing out. It does line up with the other things that we're talking about, but it's also an hourly, so I don't really care about formations on an hourly, but interesting, I suppose, nonetheless. If you are a short-term time frame trader, maybe that's something you want to consider. Of course, it's not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Let's go check out traditional markets really quick, and then we'll look at the top two shitcoins. Then we'll wrap this bitch up and send this off. Looking at traditional markets right here, we did get that move back to the upside that we were looking for to come in this week. I do think that this likely gets a little bit more continuation here coming into tomorrow. I'm not so convinced, though, that the downside is over ultimately. I do think it's very possible that we come all the way down to about 275, maybe more long term. But for now, I do think that the bounce plays out a little bit more. Looking at daily and weekly, looks to me like we probably want to head back up and test around about 294, 295. Although lower time frames are kind of nasty right here. Are they nasty? Well, while I do think that we probably pop back up around 294, 295, do we see do we maybe get a move back down here first and foremost? Maybe back down to like 289 and a half, or even like 291. Possible, yeah. I think 291 is actually quite possible, and then give a little bit of a try higher. But ultimately, I do think that this bounce does get a little more love to the upside, and then we'll kind of decide if this one wants to play out or not. But for now, I'd be cautiously looking for this to extend a little bit further, and then reassess. The weekly is starting to be a little bit more interesting to me, but I'll leave it at that for now. I think saying anything more than that is premature, to say the least. For now, we have a nice local low in. We're working off of that, and we'll just run with that until until we really need to make a decision. Anyways, going and checking out the other two top shitcoins in this market. We see Mr. Buteral on a weekly, absolutely atrocious, just fucking dog shit. Everything, and it's not just Buteral on a weekly. I'm not trying to pick on Mr. Buteral. He's a phenomenal guy. He's really, really nice. He'll buy you dinner and even call you back. But but that's the problem. No, just kidding. But all altcoins chart looks most altcoins charts looks in some variation like this. Anyways, going down to a lower time frame, do we see some more upside here? I do think I do think it's quite likely that we see some more upside. As long as we get this next daily total closing above the white 200 moving average right on over here, I'd say that that's quite significant. That's going to solidify this as a local. Well, it's already solidified as a local low, but more importantly, it solidifies this as a bear trap. If this gets solidified as a bear trap, I'd be looking for a more immediate move towards 208.5, and then probably do get continuation on top of that, a little bit more medium term, maybe like another week down the road or something like that. But for now, I do think that it's I do think that it's quite encouraging to see this thing, to see Mr. Buteral regain the 200 simple, and I would be, and that just makes an easy way to kind of base trades off of. So if we assuming that we close above it today, which we got another hour and 15 minutes to go, hopefully I can get this video out before then, because I've realized I've already gone well over 20. God, I've already gone over 20 fucking minutes. How the fuck did that happen? Man, I feel like I haven't even said all that much. Probably sound like a fucking moron. Anyways, if we do close above about 198.5, I'd probably be looking for another test back down coming into tomorrow's daily to open, and then continuation up to the 21. What about Mrs. Litecoin? I want to see something similar on Mrs. Litecoin, and Mrs. Litecoin a lot weaker, actually. We did have a bullish engulfing dildo right over here, but a weak response. Rejection by the 10 simple on the first pass. Not what you want to see. Mrs. Litecoin is certainly the weakest of the bunch right now. I'm looking at the weekly's bad. The weekly is really bad. The weekly makes me bearish on everything. That's a problem here, is that we really want to see the altcoin market going with the general market. So bad. Fucking bad. God damn, man. Where are they? Get them over here. Really bad. Really, really bad. Now, if we see Buteral and Bitcoin looking like, I wouldn't say good is not the right terminology, but okay, right? It's still a consolidation. At the end of the day, we're still going fucking sideways. We're just drifting sideways. But if we see Buteral and Bitcoin like acceptable, we'll call it, and we see Litecoin unacceptable, who do I go with? Well, I go with the majority, of course, but let's go around the general shitcoin market here, because Mrs. Litecoin on the weekly looks like she wants to have a nosedive back down to like 69.5, and then probably even lower than that over time. But let's go check out. So I want to go check out the broad market just to make sure. So we see Stellar running over here at about 7 cents. Absolute shit. Terrible chart. More lows to come, most likely. What about Monero? Monero is acceptable. Okay, acceptable. Okay, not amazing, not great, but okay. Ripple. There's a terminology for this chart which I'm not sure I know the word, but acceptable is not the right word. Also, unacceptable is not the right word. This would be a little bit more bear trappy when you have a massive wick like this above a major movement average. Typically, you do get a little bit of follow through. I think that is very possible that we get something like that, but I don't want to call this chart good because it's not. That's the problem with it. I do think that we have some more upside here. This chart is not good, but I do think that we have some upside here. So I would say that one's on the more acceptable side. Let's go over and check out Mr. EOS. EOS is also atrocious. We see Mr. Neo. What's Neo doing? Also, that matrix is fucked. Tron, what the fuck am I looking at? And Bcash, some more. There you go. And oh, forgot one more, Zcash, and let's just extend that another billion fucking times. Whoops, that's not even Zcash, but it's a terrible chart as well. It's actually the CoinMarketCap top 200, funnily enough, which is probably more representative of what we're looking at anyways. Looking at this right here, let's actually see the CoinMarketCap. This is top 200 with exception of Bitcoin, pretty bad. With Bitcoin, still pretty bad, but no, you can actually make an excuse for this one. You could still say it's consolidation here. Anyways, back on the Bitcoin charts. Start to wrap this bitch up. And go over the key points. So Bitcoin on the 4-hour, what we can say about this is essentially we are holding this blue box territory right here. The blue box is essentially set between the white 200 simple and the purple 200 exponential moving average. As long as we both hold both of these guys with more importance on the 200 simple, which is about 10,550, I do think that we get this fall through to the upside. Targets at around 11.2 to 11.4 region, and then we'll kind of reassess after that. Definitely possible to continue onwards and upwards. I do want to see fall through on the daily as well. I want to see the daily close above that yellow 20 exponential moving average. It's at 10, let's call it like 10,725 region. If we can actually see that, then I would be looking for another probably tap back down to the 21 coming into tomorrow, and then likely continuation to the upside. Not always going to happen like that. Sometimes you do get like a little bit of a petering out of action and then spill back on over, but the trade is actually going to, the trade coming in tomorrow is going to be pretty damn simple. Regardless of whether we get continuation to the upside or we actually fall over here, the next trade, if we can confirm above the 21 today, is actually really fucking easy. It's a classic trade, super fucking easy, and again, it's just one of those ones where it's like a layup in a sense. Of course, whenever you say something like that, you got to knock on wood because it's like it's going to bite you in the asshole, right? It's like you can never think that you get a freebie from the market. That's a massive lesson that I've learned. Anyways, that's what I'd be looking at from that time perspective. Of course, if Bitcoin does break this area right on over here, if Bitcoin breaks it to the downside, which I'm not leaning towards it happening, but hey, anything's possible in this market, of course. If we do break below this region, again, about 10,550, even below 10,600 would be a little bit of an issue. Then I'd be looking for probably another test back down to about 10,150-ish region, maybe 10,000 low, somewhere right around here, and then we'll kind of come back to it. Likely, or would I even be saying that? Well, first things first, the 50 exponential moving average on the daily is going to be 10,500. That's going to line up with the 200 simple on the 4-hour pretty damn soon anyways. I think I'd hold on to that. If we do break that area, then probably coming back down to this muddy territory down here, and that's going to really change the picture. It's going to start to look a lot more bearish. But we do have the 3-day doodle closing tonight, and the 3-day doodle is going to actually likely maintain all major moving averages as long as we close above 10,600, and I would say that's more or less okay. It's just holding the territory. So with that said, I think that's going to do it for right now. I'll be back on tomorrow with some more video and live stream analysis. Looking forward to see you there. And with that said, take care and see you soon.